Hello everyone, I'm Greg Weaver. Welcome to The Audio Analyst. Today, we take a quick visit to the home showrooms of Seattle audio retailer Audio Ultra, owned and operated by local entrepreneur Edward DeVito. I met Ed at the inaugural Pacific Audio Fest last July, and we soon became friends as we discovered that we shared many similar philosophies regarding our industry, as well as a comparably twisted sense of humor. One of the more fascinating aspects that are essential to Ed's approach to assembling rewarding music systems for his clients is his understanding of and commitment to something that I first presented as one of my 9 audio axioms in the late 1990s. Now, I revisited these concepts fully in episode 9, The Audio Analyst's Audio Axioms, here on the channel, where number 6, the 6 P's, stands for Piss Poor Power Prevents Proper Performance. Ed understands that the quality of the AC power delivered to the components that make up the music system is a fundamental underlying factor, one that exhibits a tremendous influence on the resultant quality of the sound that we hear. In fact, you'll hear him say that power is what we are actually listening to. To that end, as well as representing the very effective AC treatment products from StromTank, Audio Ultra offers something they call AC Power Solutions. Essentially, this is a process that employs the installation of a separate portable power panel to your building's main AC service panel. This separate, isolated, and clean source of AC is then used to feed all your audio components. Ed correctly, in my opinion, understands that if the power delivery is the best that it can be, you alleviate so many other problems that you would typically have to deal with after the fact in some other fashion. A fine example of this very treatment was implemented at Michael Fremer's home, and he talks about it rather glowingly in the October 2019 Analog Corner issue number 315, which includes a great photo of Ed's backside. Now, before we start today's conversation with Ed, let me apologize for 2 issues. First, I've no idea what happened to over a day's worth of images from both the Capitol Audio Fest itself and from this visit. I'm at a complete loss as to how these images disappeared. I've looked for them and searched for every possible cause. And on both counts, I've come up empty. I just don't know what happened. My apologies. Fortunately, Ed was kind enough to share a photo of my listening session in his large room, which I have included here. Next, in my haste to get my gear set up to record our conversation, we finished just minutes before we had to get me to the airport in time to make my flight, I somehow misset the audio recording level. Upon getting home and playing the actual video back, the sound recorded was clearly too low and quite noisy. However, I felt that even as poor as it was, with a little cleanup, it still merits your viewing. By way of making it easier to follow along, I recommend that you enable the native YouTube subtitling closed captioning option by clicking the CC button from the options at the bottom right of the video window once you start to watch. With that sonic caveat addressed, let's take a listen. Welcome, everybody. This is the Monday after the Pacific Audio Fest. My good friend, I met this guy a year ago, and we kind of hit it off. This is Ed DeVito. He owns Audio Ultra here in the Seattle area, and he's invited me into his listening room, so I'm going to give you a tour, and we're going to talk a little bit about what he does that I think makes him a pretty good dealer here in the area. Welcome.
I'm so glad you made it up.
Yeah.
I think it's an experience to get here and see what we've done and what I've done in relationship to audio.
Yeah. So you are, as you know, one of the things that we first hit on talking about, you had brought these power boxes and things, and you're really concerned with the fundamentals of AC delivery into a home, which I think more people need to focus on personally. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Sure. And, you know, for me, AC power is something I've always played with, I've always tinkered with. And when we built this place, you know, we had a lot of electrical challenges we found out. Back in the day, I bought Pioneer Elite TVs, plasma TVs, they were very expensive. I bought 3 of them. And they weren't the same as they were in the store with the beautiful colors and the different images and whatnot. And once I started going through the house and found out that we had floating grounds, we had AC arcing, we had failures in our HVA system, it started making more and more sense. So I started cleaning up all the stuff and then going back to the pole, the actual transformer on the pole, when everything kind of came together. And what I believe is that, you know, power is what you hear, and it's very evident in the music. It's like you're getting that last bit of extension from the designers that build this equipment, and it just makes everything just come together. And mind you, it's the least expensive thing that you can do that's going to benefit your whole home, and of course your listening area itself.
Well, you know, you showed me last year. You had some of your power boxes. I took some pictures. I'm pretty sure some of my cover boxes. He has some really interesting stuff. And I met him through Peter from Magic Valley.
Well, you like Greg, I thought.
I'm not sure. I don't think so. But you know, I've known Peter McKay for a long time too, and that's how we were. So he was sharing the room too. And the thing that, if you don't mind briefly going a little further with this, I had been introduced to Strong Tank only recently before I had come out to see you guys. You and Peter had that big one in the room. Essentially, you're using it as a battery, yes?
Correct.
And so, I mean, I hope everybody gets this, but the reason one of the reasons my turntable sounds so good is there's a supercapacitor power supply, which is essentially a battery that is cut in half, 16 farads, and when one side's driving the motors, the other side's charging, and then they reverse, so there's never any AC at the table, at the motors. And whatever day I came into your room during the show, I'm sorry, what was his name? Kevin. This is the first time I met him, by the way. But he did some really demonstrable changes by on and off with that thing. And I don't think enough people pay attention. So I'm really glad you talked about that. Now, the Strong Tank line is, I don't know anything about it. I'm just curious about it personally. So,
sure.
So where do you start with that?
So Strong Tank, it kind of goes back with Dan DXD.
Oh, okay.
And Dan was a mentor for me in a lot of ways with power, and he knew what I was doing was right, or what I told him what I was doing. He said, what you're doing is right. The industry needs this. So we focused on this, and I had another friend here from Seattle. When we started out, he was playing with power, I was playing with power, and I had more of the resolving systems, and you were hearing and seeing what it was doing. So we kind of launched in that direction, and we went ahead and powered my friend's home. They did his home. We got that kind of position up.
And he talked about that in that recent video he did about his whole home.
He did.
Yeah.
He did. And that was just a complete victory for us. So that's when we knew everything that we learned from Dan's mentorship to the perimeter of the house was we were on the right path.
Yeah.
And at that same time, Dan said, well, hey, I want you to take a Strong Tank. So I don't want a Strong Tank. I was down in Arizona. I was getting some work done on the amplifiers I had at the time before Audio Ultra. And Dan made me take the Strong Tank. He promised my friend, to not let me plug it in and turn it on right away. Let the amp settle in, because I just got done upgrading to the M400s. Okay. He wanted 2 weeks to settle in before I put Strong Tank in the system. And again, he made a promise. He's getting Dan DXD,
Yes.
And so a week later, he calls me up, like, what are you doing? I said, well, I'm listening to the amp. He goes, well, Strong Tank plugged in yet. And I said, no. He goes, plug it in. So he plugged it in.
So he changed it.
So he changes his mind, and which was great because I was just kind of fighting at the nail to get
to hear it, yeah.
And Strong Tank, it does. It lowers the noise floor because it's a dual inverter. It's going from AC to DC, DC back to AC. You're getting a clean transient, very, very clean transient sine wave powering up the gear.
Yeah.
Now on the S1000, S2500 that we had to show, the Quantum, what that's doing is great for the source gear. The 2500 actually has a digital passive filter in it as well.
Okay.
You plug your digital gear into, and then everything else can go inside of all that. So Strong Tank really is great for the source gear. Then we have 2 other models, the S4000 and 5000 HP, which can actually power amplifiers, even as big as this Constellation or the M10s that we have next door behind us. It's a lot of money, but it's a great option if you are not able to go through infrastructure in the home.
Clean up the actual infrastructure,
If you live in areas of brownouts, if you live in apartments, things along that line, or you rent your home, let's say,
right.
Strong Tank's a great option. It's a great source in my opinion. We love it, and I still use it at the shows that year.
Yep.
And then, then we demonstrate it. So Kevin and I both demonstrated at the shows. People can actually hear it. You heard the noise floor.
Oh, yeah.
Fall apart. You hear the noise floor
Immediately.
lower. It takes about 5 or 8 seconds with the capacitor
Yeah.
to drain and then
Yeah.
fill back up.
Yeah.
What's kind of going on there, but everybody's.
But there's no question. You hear, I mean, it's demonstrable. It's not just like, I think it's clearly better.
Did you change the volume?
Yeah.
Did you do some setting? No, we're right there. Did you see
Yeah.
me do anything? Just you hit the button, wait 5 or 8 seconds, and it does
really,
its thing.
really nice.
So we're big fans of that.
Yeah.
Big fans of Strap.
Now, as Audio Ultra, what's your line card look like? What all products do you carry?
So what I've chosen and curated was a small selection of components that I feel have worked together through
Sure.
trial and error.
Yeah.
I've had some trial and errors in here, but what we run
It's the only way you learn this stuff.
It's the only way you learn. So we run CH Precision out of Switzerland. I was just at the factory there last month or the month before. I put a video up on YouTube on that. Really cool. Those guys over there are just awesome. Like, they made me feel like family.
Yeah.
I was supposed to have 2 hours, then we're at lunch, then it went to the afternoon, we're having fun. I didn't want to leave. I had to. I had to actually go to my other business, which is seafood. I had to go to Spain for a seafood show. But CH Precision is a big one we have. Constellation here is another brand of amplification that we have. And I leave it with that as far as amplification goes. For our digital sources, I kind of play with the Wadax. I'm a big fan of Wadax. We have the DAC and the server here. At Munich, when I saw the transport, my jaw just dropped, and I put a video on that James Bond-esque type of opening mechanism for the disc. Blown away by that. They had a really good room, I thought, as well. And then we also incorporate Ideon, which I think is another great digital setup where you have the DAC, we have the Ideon Absolute Care, DAC, Ideon Absolute Time, and Stream. And together with that package is a really, really amazing piece.
Well, I just did a standalone piece on the Stream because it's unique in my experience with some of the things it does. And I'm working on the whole suite review I have, the streamer, the DAC, and the block. And what it does with streaming, what it does with everything is fine, but particularly what it does with streaming is remarkable. And I'll be talking about that sometime soon. But
Ideon smokes, and I just set it back up here after the show. I just used their new USB cables that they have now too, and so I'm getting the flavor to feel what that's like. But Ideon to me is top shelf product.
no question.
Then, of course, we have CH Precision's digital front end, officially now with a new 1.2 DAC and the 1.5 SACD player of CD transport. We had a show, which is not set up here today, still products. Really, really great stuff. And then we also bring up the rear with Berkeley, which I'm still a fan of. And Berkeley is a great piece, very well built.
Yeah.
And that combines together with Oranger for our streaming services. So we're really kind of a big fan of Oranger as well. And the main part of Oranger, honestly, it just works. There's no beta program. There's no beta program that everything works. And God forbid there is a problem, they tunnel in overnight from Korea, and bam, wake up in the morning. It's
Well, and that's the nice thing about the Ideon guys. They're in Greece, but if you have an issue, because the model I had was an older model, not older, but it was not the current stuff. They sent me the parts. I put things in. They're like, they tunneled in. We were done. It also indicates how good a support team that you're going with that company, both under the Ideon guys.
Through Michael Vamos here in West Coast, in Southern California, and Emilio back in Greece, and George, obviously, the principal of Ideon. Great support team, and I just love it. I love the thick, heavy billets of it. I'm a billet guy. I just love billet, and I love carbon.
It's like 16 hours to know that, just the stream, to know the stream out. And I've spent a lot of time with Emilio on different remote connections. George has always been wonderful. I've known Michael for so long. He's a really good friend.
We had dinner with Michael just a couple nights ago, and that actually went sideways.
Okay, well.
Meaning we had a lot of fun.
Oh, that guy. Okay, I was worried.
Usually
he's such a great guy.
My sideways is when things get fun.
Gotcha.
Then speaking of aluminum, and my other favorite is carbon, brings up Magico.
Yes.
Magico for me is one of those speakers that does it all. We've successfully shown the A1 at Axpona, and everyone was saying, why would you show such a small two-way speaker with a big $300,000 CH Precision system? My attitude was, I want to show you what this speaker can do.
Yeah.
And it did it in spades, in my opinion.
Exactly what I said in my show report, buddy.
That's right.
That's right. Yeah, I complimented you on having the bounties to do it.
So
because it worked.
It totally
really worked.
So what we did different this year versus Exponent, which we thought was really good, is we still use CA Precision amplification. We also introduced their line stage, the L1, and then put in the Ideon stack as well for the DAC. So we had the Ideon again, DAC, reclocker, clock, and their stream. And it was just a great combination, and it really changed things up. And I honestly believe our sound out of the Pacific Audio Fest, which I thought was a fantastic show in a lot of ways.
Many ways,
really,
actually.
really just turned out to be a great system that we put together. This year we had we had suites. We had one side for a talking room, and then one side for the music room. And Exponent, if you remember, it was standing room only.
I could
all shows.
I had to come back twice. I had to come back twice before I finally got in.
We had to throw notes to each other, just to talk to each other over the people's heads. It was just
the room was a lot smaller, and this suite worked really well because you had the bigger room outside for everybody to mull around and talk business and talk whatever, and then you had the room you go in and sit down and go, oh yeah.
So Lou and Gary, I mean, honestly, I commend them for starting the show here for us, where we benefit because we're so close to it, and it helps me kind of cast the awareness because, I'm not that traditional brick and mortar store. You come in, hey, buy this box, things are going to sound great, you'll be happy. I bring people in for experience.
Well, first of all, these listening rooms are in your home. You do have a retail location, but these listening rooms are in your home. And the experience is very much like it would be in their home when they come in.
Correct.
And you're one of those follow-up guys. It's not like, here are your boxes, thanks, don't forget to write.
Thank you.
Yeah.
No, it's white glove service. And again, kind of learning the principles from Peter, McKay, Dan D'Agostino, really kind of instilled that in me early on. Because these guys have been around, like yourself, for a long time.
We've done it a week or two,
I'm relatively a newcomer.
Yeah, you've been doing this, what, 2.5, 3 years?
Audio Ultra's been around just under 3 years.
Okay.
And again, then before that, there was a long break in audio because I had kids and whatnot. So now you're doing multi-channel systems. You're watching Nemo, you're watching Toy Story. So then, but before all that, I had systems in the military. In the exchange catalog, you would buy Carver, you would buy all sorts of clip speakers. And those are the systems that we were running with in the military. And then prior to that, with my family growing up, my dad always had turntables and Marantz gear and Macintosh gear. So that's kind of how we grew up. And you would record it on the cassette and take the cassette to your car or your Walkman.
Absolutely.
That's kind of what we did.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when I got back into audio, I was going to say, hey, I'm going to spend $5,000. I'm going to pull out a pair of Snell speakers I had on my phone.
Oh my God.
I'm going to go buy some used Macintosh gear and find a turntable. I'm going to spend $5,000.
Yeah.
That completely went sideways. There's a gentleman across the valley. I pulled out the Snells and they had to be recombed. We hooked them up to a Pioneer.
They were an amazing speaker in their day.
Peter Snell did a fantastic
job. Oh my God.
In my opinion.
They really were an amazing speaker back in the dark ages.
They were. Yes. And that ended up going sideways, and that used Macintosh system never really transpired, and ended up going a whole different route. So. But then that's when, again, I started learning about power, seeing the challenges and whatnot. Going back to my Navy days.
Yeah, I mean, you're really into the nitty-gritty about power. We've talked quite a bit. We don't have time to go into it on this video. Maybe we should do a Zoom call and do something like that.
That'd be cool.
But because I think, I really believe in, I believe in this stuff.
Yeah.
So, but I didn't mean to distract you, but you're definitely into the nitty-gritty there. You're not just playing with this. You know what you're doing.
The foundational aspect of power is key. Again, when I got back into it, I called it local guy else around here, and you say, hey, look, buy this $10,000 power cable. This is all sticker shock. I didn't know really what high-end was all about. I was going to buy a used Macintosh system. $10,000 power cable was going to change my life completely. It didn't make sense. I wasn't going to tell my wife, oh, look, I bought a $10,000 extension cord. It just didn't add up. So that's when I kind of started digging deeper into it. What was kind of going on there? And these products all matter. I mean, I still believe power cables, all of that matters, but to start off, you can do things a lot differently. If you correct that foundational piece,
everything's better no matter what else you apply.
And you don't have to go to the extravagant side.
You're leveraging everything. Once that's right, everything's better to begin with. So,
exactly. And I hope you heard it earlier today. You can hear with my saying on the back of the show, power is what you hear, and I firmly believe that. I believe I can demonstrate it very clearly on what power does to a sound. It doesn't matter the price of the components or what it may be. Power is just beneficial for everything electronic.
No argument for me, brother. You're preaching to the choir.
So I still work here. I still have a here in Seattle. His name is Rex, and he does a great job as well as I do. We just have different paths, but the philosophy is still the same about setting the foundation, going through, making sure stuff is right before you spend. Because you don't fix the problem. My saying is like getting out of the shower and putting on dirty underwear, right? So it's like fix the core, set the baseline, then come into the audio. You're going to benefit hugely.
Well, buddy, is there anything else you want to talk about before we sign off for today?
Well, I'm a full-blooded Italian.
That explains half of it.
Exactly.
Dude, you're so much fun to hang with. It really is.
I'm passionate about power. I'm passionate about setup. I'm passionate about installation, and then all those preconceived notions I like to kind of like beat down. Because there's a lot of assumptions in audio that I see that people either read about or don't know, or it gets translated. As you know, you pass that word around the circle, and it's different as it goes around. So I like to kind of uncover all that and help people. So my passion is helping people. Audio for me is not my primary business.
No.
So what I sell is for the right reasons. I don't have to sell to keep the lights on. I sell for, is this the right product for you?
You're a hobbyist who's taking this to the best level you can.
Thank you. No, I appreciate that. And again, because not everything is for everybody.
Right.
If it's not for you, I'm not going to sell it. Now, do I want to sell it? Absolutely.
Sure.
But I only want to sell for the right reasons. And that's important.
One of the reasons I was successful back when I was in retail was I listened to what people wanted. I asked questions. And instead of selling this week's flavor of the month, I found out, this is and people, first of all, they respect it. They come back to you. They understand that they're getting the right treatment from you. And it is not only the best way to build your business, but it makes you feel good. I mean, it's a double-edged sword. It works both ways.
Yeah. No, I totally get that.
Ed, thanks so much for having me on here, buddy. It's been a blast.
Thank you so much.
Can we get another snort real quick before we leave?
Why not? Let's do it up.
Folks, everybody, thanks for watching. We'll talk again soon.
Thank you so much.
While Ed had invited me to make this visit with him last year, my schedule was just too full. So when the offer was extended again this year, I made a point to find the time to fit this in. I'm just sorry I was too rushed to capture the audio properly. But I want to thank Ed for making the time to host my visit and hope he can forgive my foul-up on the audio recording. Regardless, thanks for taking the time to drop by today. Further information on supporting the channel may be found in today's description section or at my website, theaudioanalyst.com. Please stay safe and keep the music playing. Till next time, cheers.